but your audio comes through.
All right, well, I guess that works. We can't get Zoom. We can't get Zoom on this computer for some reason, so I have to use the web version every time, and it always messes up my video.
Cool. So let's get started. So welcome, Air Force Audiology Briefing. I'm Master Sergeant Laura Arnold.
I'm Sergeant Branham.
All right. And then on the line with us, we have Captain Kuntz and Lieutenant Colonel Foster.
All right, so some of the things we're going to go over today is eligibility requirements, the position description, some of the advantages to being an audiologist in the Air Force, some Air Force benefits, the next steps, and then go through any questions that you guys may have.
All right, so the eligibility requirements for audiology in the Air Force is to have a doctorate in audiology, and then have a current certificate of clinical competence in audiology from the American Speech, Language, and Hearing Association, or board certification in audiology from the American Board of Audiology. Be commissioned in the Air Force by the age of 42, and then pass the military physical, and also be a US citizen.
All right, so the position description, Air Force audiologists can be assigned to diagnostic hearing centers at Air Force military treatment facilities to care for hearing health needs of all military health system beneficiaries, pediatric to geriatric, including active duty members and their dependents, as well as retirees and their dependents. Audiologists can be assigned to logistics centers and full-time hearing conservation programs, the Air Force Hearing Conservation Data Registry, or as hearing conservation instructors at the Air Force School of Aerospace Medicine. If they work at a hearing conservation center, they manage large numbers of patients exposed to hazardous noise areas. They educate and train patients and their staff technicians in safety procedures and the correct use of the hearing protective equipment. Air Force audiologists can work in a research capacity. They participate in research relative to biological acoustics, the design of hearing conservation devices, test procedures to improve the hearing of flying personnel, and assist in the modernization of the dismounted warfighter.
So training as an Air Force audiologist. As an audiologist, you'll be a member of the Biomedical Sciences Corps and a highly respected member of one of the world's premier healthcare teams. You'll also have to do a 5-week training course. It's called the Commission Officer Training, and it happens at Maxwell Air Force Base in Alabama.
All right, some of the benefits of becoming an audiologist in the Air Force is the HPLRP, which is the Health Promotions Loan Repayment Program. Occasionally, they offer this loan repayment for additional years of commitment, usually about $40K. Board certifications pay up to $500 a month. Opportunities through AFIT, which is the Air Force Institute of Technology, to get a PhD in audiology or a Master's of Science in Public Health. There's an annual conference attendance for CEUs and the ability to fit top-of-the-line hearing aids without any selling involved.
Do you guys have anything that you wanted to add to that, or?
Yeah, if we could go back to that slide.
Yeah, of course.
Sure.
For me, this was a huge benefit for me. As I came in student loan debt, they offered the loan repayment up to $40,000 for an additional 2 years of a commitment. And I was able to get some of that. By being board certified, so having your ASHA Cs, you get an extra $500 a month. And I'm one of those that was selected to go back and get a master's in public health. So throughout my time, I've been in for about 13 years in the Air Force, and there's just always something to kind of keep you going and make it worthwhile. Every year we get an opportunity to go in person to a conference, or you can attend it virtually. but you get a chance to go get CEUs to maintain your credentials. And usually we have a joint VA and Defense Audiology Conference, usually in March. And so you can go and see the other services and meet with them and see, learn things from the other services and the VA, or you can attend one of the other national conferences like ASHA or AAA or other organizations that put them on to get your CEUs. So there's no requirement or restrictions on that. And one of the last one there about fitting hearing aids. Yeah, I mean, in a private practice, the sky's the limit. You can sell as much as you want and make as much as you can, but you always have to do that selling. For us in the military, it's the VA contract, and so it's already top of the line hearing aids, and we fit those on people that need them, and so it doesn't matter if they can afford them or not. We get to fit them, and I think that's one of the greatest things is I don't have to sell or upsell the hearing aid. It can just be given for those that need it.
I would add that extends to implants at the right facility. So at certain facilities, we also have the ability to work with cochlear implants, bone anchored as well. That's why I'm in Scrubs. Just came from the OR, doing some readings this morning on a new implant. So we have the opportunity at certain medical facilities as well, which is really, really nice.
Right. So some of the benefits to becoming an audiologist in the Air Force, just in general, Air Force benefits is going to be, your salary is going to be pretty much equal to what they pay on the outside. 30 days of vacation, continuing educational opportunities, tax-free housing and food allowances, comprehensive medical and dental care, opportunities to live, work, and travel worldwide, and then the generous retirement program that the Air Force offers.
Yeah, we have a number of overseas locations in England, Germany, Italy, and Japan, and then also Alaska is considered overseas. And so you really can travel around the world. I've been stationed in England. I'm currently in Germany at Spangdahlem Air Base, and each of these different locations offer different opportunities and different types of clinic. So the one that I'm in right now, it's our early intervention, so educational and developmental clinic. And so I work with speech pathologists, physical therapists, occupational therapists, psychologists, psychiatrists, kind of this multidisciplinary team as we try to work for the development of children. And so my day is a little bit different. I fit hearing aids on kids, and I fit hearing aids on retirees and active duty, and do hearing tests on all populations, but I'm really focused on the kids here. So it's kind of a little niche outside of the US where we get to see kids, even though we're in the Air Force. So my day is a little bit different, but the opportunities at each location offer you that variance and kind of challenges at each place. Also, if you're kind of interested in running your own practice, usually we're one-man deep shops, except for some of our bigger medical treatment facilities. And so you really get to run your clinic and set it up how you want. You can order the equipment, you can see the population that you want, and kind of build your schedules. So you are kind of running your own clinic in a sense, but you still have this huge network of other people to help you along the way.
Very cool.
All right, so if this is something that you decide you want to do, here are your next steps. You got to complete the initial appointment. Then we will need a copy of all your source docs, like your driver's license, social security card, birth certificate, passport, any license and certifications you may have. Once we have that, we will start building your profile in the system and then pass you along to our customer service representatives. What those guys will do is schedule you for your physical and start really building your application package. So from there, once you complete that package, it'll be submitted to the board, and then see if you get your results. If you're selected, then you'll be pushed along to the post-processing team who will help you with your commissioning documents, and then get you into the Air Force. So what kind of questions do you have?
So some of the questions that I just get typically from the field for you guys as audiologists is, like, what does your typical day look like as an audiologist in the Air Force? If you want, we can get rid of the slideshow. That way you can see.
I think Colonel Foster did a good job of kind of outlining one perspective of kind of what our day-to-day looks like. It changes from location to location, and also kind of as you progress in your career, as your day-to-day duties will kind of progress with that as well. At larger installations, so I'm at the largest installation that we have for audiology currently. So we're one of those rare places where we have a handful of audiologists here. Our day is very much a large clinical caseload. So we work with ENT. We're doing a lot of diagnostics. We're doing implants. We're doing vestibular. We're doing pretty much everything that you would do in audiology, and that's here at Wilford Hall at Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio. So that's a big medical mission, and so day to day is generally seeing clinic through a normal day, and then spending some time either kind of at the beginning or the end of the day working on extra duties, because as an audiologist in the military, you are an audiologist, but you're also an officer in the military. So you have opportunities to really grow in those leadership roles and responsibilities, and those again kind of change depending on where you're at. So some days are longer than others, but most of the time it's a full clinical day for me, at least at the current installation that I'm at.
So, I mean, this next question kind of goes into the first question, which I think you already answered, but what does your patient load look like per day, like number wise, or even
it can vary, again, like we said, at each location. So like at Wilford Hall in San Antonio, our big installation, you're cranking out 9 patients, or more, depending, maybe 30-minute slots, 45-minute slots. Whereas at some of our smaller locations, like where I'm at, I might see only 5 patients at most a day and have hour-long appointments, and they can be, regular hearing tests to ABRs to hearing aid fittings. And then a lot of my day is spent kind of managing the other aspects of this clinic.
And I think you already answered the other question I had, which was what patient population do you serve? But it sounds like basically almost everybody, right? That's
yeah, we can
retiree.
Yeah, we can see birth from newborn hearing screenings all the way up until those those older populations that we're fitting hearing aids on. We really have the ability to see the whole spectrum.
Yeah, we have the ability, I think, in certain locations, because of access to care, you might see more of that broader population. When you're in a larger military facility, like I'm at, for example, for hearing aids, we only fit active duty. So retirees have to go to the VA or to an outside provider. But when it comes to implants, we'll see anybody. So things can be a little bit varied. We have the ability to see any population. In my day, generally, I see kids for hearing tests and things, but when it comes to fitting them, unfortunately, I only work with implants and osseointegrated devices for kids at the moment.
Okay, awesome. This next question is a big one that I get quite often. So how often do you deploy, and what does it look like as an Air Force audiologist when and if you get deployed?
Yeah, that's a great question. We get that often too. But currently there isn't a mission for audiologists to deploy. So we don't have any audiologists that are deployed. You can volunteer for some deployments, but they're not to be an audiologist. They're usually for some other medical research team. The other way that you could deploy is through your next question on here, that's humanitarian missions. And so they call them medical readiness missions. And it's usually we're teamed up with ear, nose, throat, and we're going down to, say, South America or someplace else where they're providing some ear surgeries, and we tag along to do the hearing tests and fit some hearing aids. And so it's a deployment, but it only lasts maybe 14 to 21 days. and you're down there again just doing audiology stuff. So those come up every once in a while. It depends on other host nations that are asking for our help. But in my time, I've been to Guyana, to Panama twice, and to the Dominican Republic on these mini deployment humanitarian missions. And so they're really great opportunities to get out and see that side of things.
So I don't know if anybody that's on the line has any other questions, but I'll leave it open for just a minute here.
So I had a question, Colonel Foster.
Yeah.
Would you be able to speak a little bit about like other opportunities that you can get from within the Air Force as an audiologist, like when you were a director of operations, and then you also had an opportunity to teach, I believe, when we were in Utah?
Yeah, so there are other jobs because you are an officer first, an audiologist kind of second. As an Air Force officer, there's jobs to be like an executive assistant to a general or the colonels and learning how the med group runs and functions, some of those things. I had the opportunity to step away from audiology and work in the recruiting squadron as the director of operations. So being able to kind of come back and do those type of things. There's just all these other opportunities, and you kind of hear about them more as you get in and get going. And it obviously depends on our manning, whether our consultant can release us from being an audiologist to go do those additional jobs, but they're definitely out there. And then teaching, you can do some moonlighting. So one of the things that I do is I teach at a university and teach hearing conservation courses. So, you know, when you're off work, you can do some of those things too around the country, which is how I met Captain Coons and talked him into coming into the Air Force.
So you're also a recruiter. Thanks for that.
Yeah, I'm a product of the recruiting system at work here. I would say too that I think Colonel Foster's had even more opportunities to serve in some broader positions that are pretty, they give him a unique perspective. So one thing that really interested me when I was a student is working with then Major Foster, now he's Colonel Foster, but and really learning about hearing conservation. He mentioned how he teaches that course, but he's also served on that board for KAOC, which is that national certification for hearing conservation. So his insight, his ability to work in a field that is very demanding for hearing conservation. The military has noise exposure and things that we don't often get in other audiology or other just places in the United States, things like that. So if you were to go into hearing conservation as a civilian doing things, you'd have some perspective, but we have a lot of unique situations. And so it's been great being able to learn from other audiologists and Colonel Foster and the rest of our peers in the field about some of those more unique situations when it comes to hearing conservation.
Yeah, we have probably about 35 audiologists in the Air Force, give or take, and not all of those are in clinic spots. We have a number that are squadron commanders, so they're running, you know, squadrons in the med group, and some that are working with the Defense Health Agency, so they're working in the Pentagon and helping develop policies, procedures. So really, as you grow in the career and find things that you like, you can find and do those type of jobs. Yeah, any other questions?
That's all.
Okay. All right, great. Well, thanks so much, both of you, for being on. We appreciate it. And I think that this is a great opportunity for us and the recruiting team to kind of find out like what you guys do on a day-to-day, and also is going to help our applicants as well. So we appreciate it. We appreciate your time. And yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. Please reach out anytime if you have additional questions, we're happy to help and talk a little bit about the Air Force and audiology.
Awesome. We appreciate it.
As someone who's gone through it more recently, it's worth it. I can attest. It's great.
And you had a good recruiter.
The
Yep,
best.
great recruiters. I still have my backpack sitting right next to me. My recruiter. Best gift I ever got.